Okay, wow, that's loud. Okay, hi. Welcome back to the shoulder class. So to see your question about what's the, on your account, under your account, you should have now a link to last week's class, all of the paperwork I sent before the class started, and the PowerPoint.
Oh,
And-
so when we log into our Yoga Loka account.
Yeah, you
Okay.
will see that.
Okay.
And that will only be there until next week. So once the class is finished, all of that goes away. So if you want to keep the PowerPoint, download it now. You will be provided with a link for the YouTube playlist next week. And so you'll always have that. You just have to hold on to that link. You'll have that link so you can review the videos if you want to. Okay. I don't know how exciting they're going to be, but they're there for you. But just download whatever paperwork you want beforehand. Okay, good. Good. Okay, what did we learn last week? What happened?
Structures.
Structures?
Well, what's in your shoulder?
I mean, what did you learn? Yes, and what did you learn between then and today? Did anybody keep track of their movements? Did you observe anything about your shoulders?
I know when it hurts.
You know when it hurts, okay?
When I'm doing when it hurts.
You know what you're doing when it hurts. And does it change depending on the time of day?
It could be worse in the morning.
In the morning, okay. Okay,
I have chronic pain in my shoulder, and I noticed that none of these exercises create any pain, but there's a lot of crackling.
okay.
So
So none of the movements that we
none of the
do.
movements create any more or less pain for me. But there's lots of crackling.
Okay, the crackling is okay. And especially if you didn't notice the crackling before, but you're starting to notice more crackling now. I say that particularly because we're doing work. You and I are doing work on your shoulder.
Mhm.
If the crackling increases, that's not a bad sign. And what that means is something is starting to unfreeze. And then, so the things, and I know it seems weird that like when people tell me their pain is moving, I get excited about that. Because there's all these, as you saw, there's layers and layers and layers in the shoulder. And if you have an injury, it could be many different muscles, could be the deltoid, it could be the bicep tendon, it could be the where the teres major comes in. It could be that it's stuff underneath, and then the muscles, the superficial muscles, are also going to freeze to protect that injury. And if we can start to unfreeze the superficial muscles, then we can get to what's going on underneath. Right. So we can start to heal or change the soft tissue of what's lying underneath it to get it at the source. So if your pain is changing, that's not a bad thing. And not just the location, but oftentimes people whose pain changes location, also what they find is that it the quality of the sensation changes. So we can use words like it's like dull and it feels like it's pulling, compared to it feels like a sore muscle that I've been working out. And to me, that's not pain. You know, that is individual interpretation. If you feel something in your body, it's not always pain. It's sensation. I was telling, I don't think it was anybody I worked with here yesterday, I was telling somebody, and it's a podcast I haven't finished listening to, but the introduction to this podcast, Hidden Brains, my favorite, it's the only podcast I listen to, just because of the timing of my life. So they did this experiment where they took a handful of adults and they put them in a room without a telephone, without their telephones, without anything else to do. The only thing that they had was a button that if they pressed that button, it would start a shock, an electric shock to their body. Did you hear this?
No,
Oh,
no.
okay,
It's
you're like, yeah, I
interesting.
know it. So they found that that adults would rather inflict pain on themselves than sit in this room with nothing to do.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, wow.
Silence is too painful.
The silence and the nothingness is too painful. Now, we can say, when they say pain, they say an electric shock. I don't know how painful that is, right? But the thing is that they wanted to feel something. They wanted a distraction, right? They
Yeah.
wanted an input of some sort. So they chose what they understood would give them pain. So just think about what, and if you see people are like tattooed everywhere, apparently those are incredibly painful, especially in the throat and the hands. People go back and they do it and they do it and they do it. So my point of that was not only is that an interesting study, but it's interesting to think about what is really pain and what is sensation. So when you're moving, you feel a catch. Well, that's a signal from your body that something's not working right, right? And sometimes we have a catch and then we go here and it's gone. And we think, oh, pain, better stop using it, better stop doing that movement. But it also could be something that's saying, you've got a catch there, let's work it out, a signal from your body. And then also, as I said, the sensation sometimes changes from something sharp and something that feels like a catch to a soreness that feels like a muscle's been worked out. That's actually a really good sign if you start to feel that. If you're doing work and you unfreeze something and it feels like, wow, I just worked out. I mean, think of the implications. I just worked out. When you work out, you choose to work out. So people are actually choosing to do these exercises so their body is going to feel like that. But we still feel, if we feel a sensation in the same place, we still think danger, something's wrong. And a lot of times when we feel something in our body in a new place, we think, uh-oh, something's wrong, right? Isn't that sometimes what you think?
Yep.
Uh-oh,
Yep.
something's wrong.
Yep.
But it's not always that something's very, very wrong. A lot of times it's a signal from your body. And the signal that we take, and I think particularly as we get older, is I better not do that anymore. Right? Not going to do that anymore. And then we get more and more and more and more frozen. So when you're also evaluating the discomfort in your shoulder with the different movements, also evaluate the quality of the pain, or if it's pain, if it's sensation.
I'm glad you used that word sensation, because
Yeah.
that nails it pretty much.
Yeah, yeah. Sensation. Because one of the other things, like when we were doing this last week, remember that? That you probably started to feel sensation in your deltoids that you never felt before. And here I am telling you to do it. So you took that as a good thing. But if you felt that at home, would you go, ah? What's the orthopedics number? Okay, so what else did we find out? Anything else?
I don't have any pain at all. I was just, I'm mostly interested in the mechanics
Mhm.
and what not to do.
What not to
Because,
do?
many years ago in a beginner yoga class, Chaturanga, is that, this was, she had us in where, imagine an ironing board 3 feet off the ground.
Yeah,
And
that's
none of us had
Chaturanga.
any shoulder strength. She kept pushing at my back, lift the stomach, just like that, and we went, a bunch of us, for 20 minutes like this. And the next day, for 4 months, I
Oh.
couldn't put on my coat.
Oh,
I had it was wintertime, an extra coat, a bigger coat, and I had to put my sleeve in this way.
Oh.
I had no,
range
this
of
was
motion.
impossible.
Yeah.
And I'm always wondering what it was.
By the way, that
was
wasn't
about.
here.
No, it was at a franchise.
That sounds like
And
your
it was
style.
beginner class, and she had about 10 of us stay afterwards because none of us got this. And
You
with
had
no-
detention.
Oh, my gosh.
You had detention? You had yoga detention?
so that we would know for the next class. And
Okay.
well, since most of us were all seniors, and
Mhm.
well, and not me at the time, but it was like, what, by the 10th minute, I was like, whoa, does this hurt?
Wow.
But she
Yeah.
was just kept pushing on our backs, and it was like, God, we can't be any higher than like this. So it was like a picture an ironing board, and
Yeah.
I was like, I knew I was in trouble when I came into the class and she was on a headstand. She was 18, you know. I was,
Okay.
Uh,
Well,
was
I'm glad you
approaching
brought this up
50.
because this is something else. So we talked a lot about muscles and structure last week. Now, there's something else to know about the shoulders in any part of your body, really, but I think particularly the shoulders because it is so attached to our hands, which is so much about doing, about creating. When we can't use an arm, we feel really disabled, right? If we can't use the arm to do what we reach up to do whatever it is we want to do. I just want to move this over so I can see you better, Olga.
But the chaturanga came through right after a fast flow.
Mhm,
So I don't know, anyway, that's the only thing I had never figured out. Did I
mhm.
tear something?
Okay, so you were 4 months and you couldn't move and it was the next day. And then it just
But the
got
next day I
better.
had a lot of pain, aching pain, and then from there, it was really very.
And it got better over time. You never got a picture taken or anything.
Correct.
Yeah.
no.
So, and you also were talking about this movement, about, being
That's a-
guarded like that.
That's a childhood reflex.
Right, and that's a common one for most of us, is that this, or pulling in like that. And so the shoulders not only are helping us to express our doing capacity, we express so much through our arms, through our hands, through our fingers. Now it's even more through our fingers, right? Because we
Right.
type more than we speak, or we type more than we
Right,
speak.
right.
So it's a lot through the arms. And it also shows we're also defending, we're pulling and we're protecting.
I would
So-
do that even as a child in a class. I was shy and well behaved. And when someone else would go berserk, and then everybody would get yelled at.
You were down like this, yeah.
So my first reaction to anything
There's always pulling.
startling.
Turtle.
is,
Turtle
you know,
in.
and this tightens.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
My
That's
shoulders.
the stress reflex. It's a protective reflex, is to pull into a fetal position, which the shoulders are a big part of. So we have the structures of the muscles and the bones and the joints as we looked at last week, but we also have another structure, which now I say, throw out all of that information and think about the stress component of it, and think, and the fascia that covers all of the muscles. And some of you have been in classes and we talked about fascia continuously, but it is important to know that the fascia is a protective mechanism. And when it's stressed out, physically stressed out, emotionally stressed out, or energetically stressed out, it's going to contract. When it contracts, it may not be predictable. It may not be just one muscle or one muscle group even. It could be like this is both of your shoulders, bilateral movement, including here. So there's a emotional, energetic component in our shoulders, as there is in our hips too, but particularly in the shoulders. Now, to be in the 10 minutes, and I knew I was like your language, like I knew I was in trouble when I came in, I saw in a headstand. Already your system is stressed, right? And then you go through this flow class, and maybe there was some stress in that because she was doing some crazy things. And then you got detention, and then you have to stay after class. And then there's the physical stress of you having to hold something. So what your shoulder does is it freezes. You've heard of frozen shoulder.
Yes, of
This
course.
doesn't sound like frozen. It may have been a little bit of frozen shoulder,
I
but
was like, I
frozen
never
shoulder,
heard of it.
when they
Tear
start
out.
taking pictures of frozen shoulder, they really can't find a definitive, there's not always a tear. There's not always an injury. It's just that the shoulder freezes. And I didn't read that article you sent me. You said that was postmenopause?
Oh, there's like a correlation between like hormonal stuff and shoulder things.
So then the hormonal stuff, all the hormones come out when we're stressed. We have the hormones that freeze the body. Cortisol, adrenaline, that can freeze the body. And so a lot of people, and I guess postmenopausal, they find even more, there's a frozen shoulder aspect. But the shoulder can freeze in times of stress. One shoulder. So I've heard people tell me, this shoulder is frozen, and now the other, it's like happening to the other, like almost like it's a rash, and it's spreading over. So what does that say to me? That says to me, the stress level or the defensive level is so strong that the other shoulder is going into a freeze state as well. So most likely, without having to even take an X-ray, to say you're under a lot of stress, physical and energetic and emotional stress, and so your shoulder locked up, pretty much, we're not going to that class anymore.
No, it didn't last long because it was just, it wasn't what I didn't go
But I'm
there to
just
get
saying-
stressed.
Right, you didn't go to get stressed, right? And your shoulder's like, you literally can't go to that class because you know
Well,
she's gonna be
especially-
checking your chaturanga and you're gonna fail.
Right,
And you're gonna
right.
have to stay after class
It
again.
hurt so much I couldn't do it.
Exactly.
But it hurt like right into here.
Yeah.
And
So,
it felt like as if I had a needle going through the top, so any movement.
yeah, there absolutely could have been a tear. And then if there was a tear, there was also a freezing around the tear to protect it.
I just know not to do that.
Just-
You know what I'm saying?
Well, don't do it in the way that she was trying to teach
Well,
it to you.
yes, not
Right.
like flat like an ironing board
Yeah.
with, you know.
So,
I can't do chaturanga at all with my shoulder.
with your shoulder.
Yeah, I mean, I usually go from downward dog right into upward dog because that motion of lowering really slowly puts a lot of tension on my shoulder.
On one shoulder.
On one shoulder.
On
not
one
the other.
shoulder,
But if
yeah.
I ever have to do like push-ups or anything, I do them against a wall or on a coffee table or
Mhm.
something because that change in whatever relational something to what I'm pushing against changes the way it
Yeah.
feels in my shoulder.
So one thing about chaturanga, and of course, we're not gonna do chaturanga, don't
What
worry.
is that?
Chaturanga is a low plank. So if you're in a high plank and your body's straight and you slowly lower down and your elbows are bent and your upper arms are about level parallel to the ground and your toes are turned under, nothing else is touching.
Right.
So it's your hands and your toes. And it's high plank to low plank. Low plank is called chaturanga.
That's hard.
Yeah, it is hard. It is very hard.
Yeah.
And one thing about chaturanga is when people come into it, oftentimes you see the shoulder heads curling forward because that's almost like you start to feel a little weaker. The further down you go, you feel weaker and then your body tries to recruit. But chaturanga like this is very stressful on these. Anybody remember what muscle this is?
Pec?
Pec, yeah, the pectoralis. And if we're only using the pec, you're gonna strain the pec. So chaturanga actually should be done like this with your back engaged. So it's more of a back of the shoulder position than it is the front of the shoulder. But you see that when people that get down to the ground and then we go like this because it's a hard move. So that's one thing about chaturanga, and that's why it's putting a lot of stress. And you were pointing to the front of your shoulder,
It wasn't
and
from-
that may
it-
be what you were
Yeah, it
feeling as
wasn't from
well.
a high plank. You automatically flowed and went right into it and I same.
Whatever it is, you
Whatever it
probably
was, it
had your
was-
shoulders forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because
She
that's your
was
move anyway.
Pulling me back.
Yeah.
So,
Oh my God.
So that's
Many
just
of us
something to
didn't
know about
survive.
chaturanga. It has to do also with the positioning. Remember, you have the shoulder blade also, which is a helper. So when the shoulder blades start to pull off of the spine wing like that, we don't have as much power. We don't have as many muscles working. It's like standing on one foot versus standing on 2 feet. We just don't have as many muscles working and engaging. So we want to keep the shoulder blades on the body when we come into chaturanga, but a lot of times we're going like this. You see the difference?
yes,
Yeah.
Strength,
absolutely.
not strength. So that's something to think about also if you're lifting something heavy. You know, where are your shoulder blades and where are your shoulders? Or if they're up here, you're going to be using this muscle more, the upper trapezius, which is not the muscle to use. So in anything, it's like you've all heard, like when you lift something, bend with use your knees,
Yes.
right? Why is that?
Keeps your back straight.
Yeah, you're not stressing your lower back.
You're not stressing your lower back. You can keep your back straight and you're not stressing your lower back. And think of the lower back is a column like this that has muscles around it versus your 2 legs, which is the biggest bone in the body, covered in muscles. So you're just, and your buttocks too. So you're using more muscle group, more muscles, more stronger muscles to do an action than this little tiny column of muscles here. There's muscles over here too, but usually we're just gonna focus in on this.
Yeah, that's what you
So
feel.
and that's where you're gonna feel it, and that's what's gonna be compromised because you're not using enough muscles for that work.
So feeling stiffness in your legs, for example, if anything prevents me from using my legs, it's that stiffness that I experience.
The stiffness you experience when you fold over your legs,
Muscle stiffness. So if I bend over to pick something up, opposed to
Are you
using
bending
my
your knees?
legs,
Yeah.
I usually do that because my legs are feeling stiff.
usually do what?
Bend over.
Bend over
Opposed to-
with your legs straight.
With my back and use my back opposed
Yeah.
to using my legs.
Well, the more you use the legs, the less stiff they're gonna be.
Right. Okay.
Okay, now, so I want to go back to the fascia for a second. I asked Tom if he felt it was more pain in the beginning of the day versus the end of the day. If there's anything you do, and you came to the class once and you said, wow, it feels so much better now, right? Now, if you come to a class and it feels better, or if you come and you have body work done, or if you find that your stiffness anywhere in the body, really, this applies to everywhere, but we're talking about shoulders, so we'll talk about the shoulders, and it gets better as the day goes on, then you know it's soft tissue. It's soft tissue. You don't need an operation unless
Would you say that again, please?
If your injured shoulder or whatever feels better towards the end of the day, after you take a hot shower, if you wake up and you're like, and then you get up and you take a shower and you're moving around, you come to yoga class and we're like, and then you go and you have some nice body work done, and then you're like, wow, it feels better. Then it's soft tissue. It's not the joint.
Could it
It's
be
soft
both?
tissue.
Could it be both?
It could be both, but if you're really feeling a significant difference, like the joint could have, so what happens with the joint like this, if your soft tissue is constricted, the joint's gonna be like this. If your soft tissue is expansive, the joint's gonna be more like this. There's gonna be more space between the joint. So for some people, the joint is gonna feel different because is gonna feel better because the soft tissue has let go. If it's tight, it's gonna pull that together and you're not gonna have the movement that you wanna have. You know, if you think about anything mechanical that needs to bend, any kind of arm or any kind of hinge, if it's screwed on too tight, it's not gonna move. And you're gonna get this horrible grating metal noise that everybody goes, stop that. So you have to loosen things up a little bit for it to move. That's one thing, the mechanical part of it is that, and then the other part is the lubrication. So we do need to lubricate the joints to keep them active. We're working with two joints, right? The shoulder and the shoulder blade. And so the lubrication is the movement. And that's why many of us feel better towards the end of the day, because we're doing stuff. We're not doing the movement that bothers us, but we're moving like this, and I'm still using my shoulder joint. Oh, ouch, that's the hard part. But the shoulder joint in general has been moving all day, so it's a little bit more lubricated. The soft tissue is softer. And if you were to have the same injury, God forbid, for over the summer and the winter, it's probably going to hurt more in the winter because soft tissue, not in your winter.
Chilly.
A little, oh my gosh, it's 70.
It gets colder.
It's cold. You're at night, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be harder. It's just like when you, if any of you keep coconut oil in your house, anybody keep coconut oil? Don't use it in the winter because you can't. You gotta pack it, right? You're not supposed to use coconut oil in the winter because once you put it in your body and it's cold, it's like the same thing that's going to happen to your body. And that's what's happening to your soft tissue in the winter when you're cold. It's solidifying. So you want it to be, and then coconut oil, that's how I know when like it's time to put on the air conditioning, when my coconut oil is liquid in my cabinets, which are not insulated at all. So it's like, oh, okay, now it's air conditioning time. So we want our joints flowing like liquid coconut oil, not like solid coconut oil. Right.
So that popping thing that we feel, that's a sensation, that's because of being tight?
This popping that you hear, if it's crackling, who said crackling?
I
You said
did.
I
crackling.
did.
You said crackling might be the fascia starting to
The fascia.
break up. Yeah, the fascia. So think about fascia like two pieces of tissue paper, many layers of tissue paper that all have a little bit of air between them, or something, liquid coconut oil. Okay. And so they could move like this. There's a gliding action. And then if that solidifies, it's like this. It doesn't slide, it doesn't glide. And that fascia glide happens not only layer to layer, but it happens muscle to muscle. And again, we saw how many layers there were on top of each other, the deltoid on top of the tricep, on top of the bicep and all that. All of those muscles have to glide over each other like a well-oiled machine.
So each one has fascia on?
Every muscle, every individual muscle is in a fascia bag.
Okay.
Ah.
And each fascia bag has many different layers. Now, when your fascia starts to solidify, the muscles start to stick together. And then when you try to move, it's like this. You won't hear the crackling. But when you start to lubricate it and you start to move, you're going to start to hear crackling. And think of that crackling like the lubrication getting into the layers, getting into the spaces between the muscles, and getting into the many layers of fascia that cover the muscles.
So is that why no movement can be bad.
Yes.
Mm.
Right. So this is what happens when we get older, and I'm interested about that frozen shoulder, whether it has to do with the hormones that women lose after menopause, or it just has to do with aging, because women in menopause are usually older than when they're not, is that the older you are, the less your body repairs itself. You don't need me to tell you that. And the less of the lubricating substance your cells are going to make. They're going to make even less when you choose not to move. They're going to be like, we're not needed here, we're going. And the fibroblasts in particular, they're called fibroblast cells, and those fibroblast cells will multiply in your fascia the more you move, because now they're needed. It's just like white blood cells coming to a site of injury, right? They get there, they mobilize, they heal, they get a little pussy, but they're doing what they're supposed to do. Fibroblast cells will multiply when you move your soft tissue, when you move your body in the place that you're moving. So if you stop moving, the fibroblast cells are gonna, you use it or you lose it, and that's literally gonna happen here, and you're not gonna have that hyaluronic acid that is lubricating the fascia and the muscle, your fascia bands.
So doing a small amount of movement every day is better than doing a lot of movement
Yes.
on one particular day.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, spread out the wealth.
No, I do.
And
too.
full range of motion, by the way. So let's say you say, well, I row boats, so I'll go less, but you're only doing this movement. You're not doing this movement. You're not doing this movement. You're only doing this movement. And that's still good. You're still lubricating the joint, but you're only getting the muscle groups here. You're not getting the muscle groups here. So you want to have, if you can do a full range of motion every little bit every day, is going to be better than one plane of movement a lot infrequently. That's why those of you who have studied the joint frame series say, do it every day, even a little bit of it every day, because that's going to help with the lubrication process. Somebody else have, did you have?
Yeah, I'm just curious, getting back to why my shoulder went out that day. Because I do these every morning. You know, I go out for a walk and I'm out there hoping no one's looking at me doing all these little things.
They don't care.
And then, you know, I do resistance training 2 or 3 times a week, and I'm doing all that kind of stuff. And to have that happen just by, you know, pulling some heavy things, I was like, what did I do? Why did that suddenly? And as I told you, within a week it went away, but it was really, that was painful initially.
Mhm.
But it kind of.
Well, because you already have a weakness in that shoulder.
So that's always gonna be, this is what we've talked about this morning.
It's, you
I have
already
to-
have a weakness in there. It's already vulnerable, and it's going to respond to, it was surprising, right? That you pulled that and it, so it's a surprise. I imagine as you're putting the bag up in the airplane, that was a surprise too, right?
Yeah,
And then there's some stress involved. People are trying to get past you. You don't know if it's going to go up or fall on the person's head sitting underneath it. We have to look also at this. We have to look at the environment that we are practicing in and the environment that injuries are occurring.
because you're not always thinking, so, you know, when we were talking about doing this, boy, when I'm thinking about it now, it's like, I do that all the time.
Yeah.
I'm not even aware of
And
it.
it's possible if you're walking and you're doing the shoulder exercise, I'm not saying don't do them,
Right.
but I'm also saying it's possible if you're walking and you're walking on uneven pavement, let's say, or cars coming by, you might be like, oh, I'm stressed out a little bit and I'm still doing the exercises, but it's not the environment that is creating ease in your shoulders.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
an environment that
suitcase
might be.
thing, I just, you know.
Let me get
I
it
gotta
up
get
there.
So I wasn't thinking
Yeah.
of what I was doing.
Yeah, and you're in an airplane is not not a happy environment for anybody, even if you're going to the best place in the world. You're just like, let me get out of here. So,
Okay.
and so it could be environmental, and also I feel like I have to say this, it could have been a lot worse
Yeah,
if you weren't doing all those things that you say you're doing. It could have been a lot
Yeah.
worse, and a week recovery is not terrible. She was 4 months out,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah, I forget where it went, I think I called my chiropractor, because I think I had gone to her the day before and I thought it had something to do with her,
Uh-huh.
but it just kind of did it on its own. And I continued moving stuff, but
Yeah.
I guess that's, getting old sucks. I guess I'm just gonna have to be mindful of that and keep up with them on a daily basis.
Yeah, and then also, you know, what is the environment you're doing them in? How are you doing them? Are you relaxed when you're doing them? Are you doing them correctly? Are you doing them evenly for, not evenly to each other, but even to your range of motion in the individual shoulders?
This, yeah,
Right,
I
and
think
you know,
about
if you
that.
have, if you know one shoulder is vulnerable, you do more slower. You do more of the repetitions, but you do them slower in the one that's vulnerable.
that's doable.
Mhm.
Just have to do it.
You just have to do it, yeah. Yeah. Anything else? Any other questions?
I noticed that I do weeding, you know, I weed, I try to not spray stuff. And this week, purposely, I tried to relax my arm because I noticed last summer, this is the one I'm in the class for, is this little sort of muscle right here. And I realized that I'm like trying to beat them, like I'm gonna get them all. And I tell myself I'll just do a few each day, but then once I'm at it, I'm like, oh, I'm on a roll. And so I
Yeah,
think I get this really constricted sort of like, oh no, and then there's more, you know, I'm sitting here and I go, oh, there's a whole bunch over there. And I tried really hard to be as chill as I could be as I'm like putting in the screwdriver to loosen them up. But I could tell that was, I'd start getting a little bit of the pain. And so it really was like, okay, just relax. That's okay. I can just do a few each day. And I think that helped. And
Yeah.
as you're talking about the stress,
Mhm.
and watch the environment, watch the sort of emotional state while I'm doing things like weeding. Because I think that is really when it started hurting last year. And I was
Yeah.
having to weed a lot because I waited too long too. So I was like, oh, I'm frustrated with myself. Why did I wait so long?
Yeah,
And
you
so-
hear about the whole
yeah.
environment that she's talking about, the
Yeah.
frustration, I gotta
Mhm.
get it done, I gotta get it
Yeah.
done right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
That's
probably
really
not even
important.
drinking enough water either, because they come out when it's really hot, like now. So I'm out there going, I'm not going to let the heat get me. So
Yeah.
there's all kinds of thoughts. So yeah, interesting that you drew that connection. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that makes total sense.
Yeah, yeah, it does. It does. Yeah, you want to be in a good frame of mind when you're doing what you're doing, because you can, it affects your body chemistry. Your frame of mind affects your body chemistry.
Mhm.
And the chemistry is affecting how your soft tissues are working. It's affecting how your muscles are working, it's affecting how your bones are working, and it's affecting the speed at which you're working. So you want to have a good chemical environment. We know this like with cooking, you know, or some of you, not me, may be really good at laundry. You know, when you have a certain stain, you have to use this for that instead of that. It's the chemistry. And then it's the same thing with our body. If we want our body to age well, we have to see what kind of chemicals are going in there. So, okay, so I want to work on internal and external rotation, and then this also, the attitude that we do this pose in, this next bunch of stuff in, is what I'd like you to do. Whatever your movement is that is uncomfortable, you're going to take that same attitude. So if anybody has this movement, is this movement difficult for anybody? Yes. So you're going to take the same thing. It'll be easy enough to show you. So what you're going to do, and we'll have to get pillows and bolsters, and I'll show both sides because of the camera. So you're going to kind of build yourself a little bit of a nest. Well, before I do that, I want to show the internal and external rotation. And okay, so a lot of us don't know that our internal external rotation is not great because we never measured it. And whichever one is stronger for you and whatever arm, you're using that one. You're not going to use the other one. Just, you know, out of habit, you're going to use the one that feels better. So we start like this. You see my elbows are below my shoulders, and then we take the fingertips down. You see how my wrists are bending? It's not this. What happens to my shoulders when I do this?
Mm.
Yeah.
Pop up.
So what's happening to my shoulder blades?
coming in.
they're coming out, right? Remember I said you're gonna be stronger with the shoulder blades integrated, but when my shoulder blades are integrated, I don't go down so far, but fortunately, this is normal range of motion for this,
Wow.
not this. It's here. About here. And then normal range of motion on the other direction is here, where you can lay your hands flat. So we go nyeh, and then inhale and exhale, and inhale and exhale. Now let's say, and not like this, but like this, let's say that you can only go like this. And now there's pain. And you know, when I go like this, it's gonna hurt. So already your body is bracing. That's what we have pillows for. So I'm gonna go like that. Ah, doesn't hurt. And then if I know this is gonna hurt, I'm gonna take something under my hands here.
What if it doesn't hurt a lot? Just go with it, right?
If it doesn't hurt a lot?
Yeah.
Well, if it doesn't hurt and it feels like it's catching, but you wouldn't say it's pain, it's sensation.
Sensation.
Then what you do is if you're going nice and slow and you do it 5 times and the sensation has gone away, then keep going. If you do it 5 times and it's the same, then you're going to introduce a level. It doesn't have to be this high, right? So if you say, oh, it's just a little catch when I come here, then you're going to maybe use just a blanket and come up just a couple of inches from the ground. And if you do it 5 or 6 times, the sensation goes away, you're fine. And then you know, that's a good exercise for me. If you do it 5 or 6 times and it stays the same, you're gonna prop. If it gets worse, you're gonna prop even more. Okay, all right, so let's first measure it for ourselves. So lay down flat on your back. You can have your knees bent like I demonstrated with the knees together and the feet wide apart. And you're gonna take your arms out and tuck your shoulder blades underneath you. Make sure you have enough room on the sides. Have your arms straight out from your shoulders like a T position. And then take your elbows a little bit lower than your shoulders. Elbows a little bit lower than your shoulders. Bend your elbows so your fingertips are pointing straight up to the ceiling. And your palms are facing towards your knees. Okay, ready? Inhale. And then you're gonna drop your knuckles back behind you. Go back first. And see what your range of motion is. Don't force anything. Then inhale, come back to the center, and then exhale, go down. Let your wrists flop down. And then inhale, center, and then exhale, back. And keep going a few more times. Now relax your wrists. And Tom, you can take your elbows higher, a little higher, unless that hurts. Okay, now you're gonna determine what needs to be propped, right? And then you're gonna start propping.
I seem to be able to go. Like
Yeah,
far
this one
back.
is not as much as that one. This one goes all the way down, this one is up a little bit.
So this one gets propped.
Just so you can just put your book under there. That's probably a bit tight for you.
Anybody, I've got a couple more blocks.
Thank you.
Just a little bit. You put it all the way down. Start there.
Do you need another one?
Yeah. Let's see how this works.
It's a little,
Yellow.
I mean, it's not. But yeah, it's.
All right, let's see. 3 of them. After 3, you still feel it. Is it sensation or pain?
It's a sensation. But it hasn't gone over that.
Wait, take your shoulders down away from you. Yeah, good.
Need a restraint.
All right, what are we finding? Is it changing?
It's gonna be-
Nope.
Yeah, when I go forward now, I feel snapping. It's just snapping or crackling
Crackling
in my shoulder blade,
in your shoulder blades.
in the back. Here,
So I'm gonna put blocks under you because
But-
you're
but-
rolling your
but not-
shoulders forward.
but it's not much.
I just want to see what happens if we prop you a little bit. And push your shoulder blades. Yeah.
Uh, That's funny.
How's it going, Olga?
Good. But you're mentioning rolling the shoulders, and I don't want to check if I'm doing that.
Yeah, let me see.
Okay. I don't think I am, right?
Well, it's this movement coming up that's, we'll see. Yeah, no, you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you come back, unbend your arms a little bit. So they're,
Oh, okay, a little wider.
yeah, keep your hands wider.
Oh, that's different.
Mm-hmm. All right, how's it going? Mary, your external rotation improved.
This one,
Yeah, I want you to pop that one because your shoulders are pitching forward.
this, see, it's, you realize it. No.
Yeah.
I have to think about it.
Yeah, you have to think
Boy.
about it.
I had to prop higher the more I do it.
Yeah, prop higher than when you do it. Okay.
The first few times it felt like I could almost touch the floor.
Uh-huh.
And then the more times I did it, the more my arm was like, "Rah."
In the
My
same
shoulder.
place.
Yeah,
Okay. And how's it feeling now?
I mean, not awesome.
Right.
Like I'm doing
Oh,
it, but it doesn't.
How's that feeling?
It feels okay the first couple times, and then it starts going, ah,
Even now, and then it's higher.
yes. Like the first 2 or 3 times on the higher, it's like, oh, this is nice. And then it's like, even higher than this would be perfect, or just stopping.
Okay. All right, we'll stop. Okay, all right, let's stop. And come up to sit.
I remember when I had tendonitis in my elbows and I had a session with you, a few sessions, and oh my God, you were like, do this really slow. And I'm like, any particular, you're like, just do it. It totally solved the problem. It's still to this day, it feels like voodoo because I'm like, how can you slow movements do it?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's making more sense as you're saying all this too,
Yeah.
why it worked.
Right. So just like that, like, I don't want to go slower. Or I don't want to stop, right? Or I don't want it to be so high. I want it to be lower. Or I think I'm doing it right, but I'm not. This is all environmental. Just what I was saying, your exercises have to be the proper environment. And what I want you to do in this particular movement is feel supported. Don't feel afraid about, even if you don't consciously feel afraid about moving your shoulders, if you've had pain in your shoulder when you have a movement, your body's already charged to go, uh-oh, has already put a stop on it. Right?
What are we calling that?
You're anticipating,
You're
oh, here
anticipating.
it goes, it's gonna
Right.
get me.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what we have to do is first remind the body that it's okay to move a little bit. Like we said, a little bit of movement slowly is better than no movement at all. So when you're setting this position up, really want you to feel, even if you're like, wow, that's really high, I don't need to be that high. Yes, you do. You do need to be that high. I would rather you start high and then start to take things out. You could do that with a bunch of towels and then just pull one towel, like a little strip tease, if you feel like you need it, or put it back in, right? And go nice and slow, nice and slow. That is the attitude to the environment for you to do these practices in. And the same thing, if it's overhead, then you have something like this. Like that. Nice and slow. Until you feel like it's okay to take my arm up. I want to take it here, but right now I'm just going to take it here because if I take it here, it's going to hurt. So we have to remind the body that it's okay to move. And that range of motion is going to increase a little bit over time. Okay, it's if you force it, it's going to decrease. So I'm not sure if that's what's going on with your shoulder or not. I'm
I
not
don't know,
sure.
now the whole bicep.
Now the whole thing is hurting. Yeah,
Down to my elbow,
which is a sensation you've had before.
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
This is good. The sensibility at the gym is pushing through. And I've been taking a lot of the things I've learned from you and incorporating it in when I do certain moves, and it's like a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
But I see all these signs out, you know, yeah, it hurts when it's this, when it's that, and it's kind of like, I'm not doing that anymore. So,
Yeah.
it's a different mindset.
It is a different mindset. And what we're doing in this mindset is we're looking to heal something. And then if you also, what you might also find is as you're healing something, you're also strengthening, right? Because that push, it can also be, it can be injurious to some people.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you're younger, it's not. But as you get older and you still hold on to that mindset, it's not the same. I mean, that's the problem. Isn't that the problem we have, that our mindset doesn't change as fast as our body does.
I know. I can do
Right?
this, yeah.
I know I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. Maybe 20 years, 5 years even, you could do this. And it's okay. You know, it's okay. Our body is changing. There's a reason our body is changing. It's not just to piss you off. There's a reason your body's changing, because you're in a different place in your life. And it's just a thing that we have to go, yes, I'm in a different place in my life. And now it's my turn to do this. It was my turn to jump around and, you know, bench press, all this stuff, but now it's my turn to do this. We have to move over and make way.
But it be like when we're aging, like I constantly hear people go, oh, rotator cuff tear, and we're replacing their shoulders. And I'm wondering, is it just the idea that they still think they can do what they used to do? I mean, I don't know why it seems, or is it so much more vulnerable here?
It's more vulnerable, and you know, I really can't
I'm
say.
just wondering, I hear it from people I don't know. I could be sitting next to them and all of a sudden at the theater, this woman is telling me that she has a tear here, and
Yeah.
she's got a replacement shoulder and a replacement hip and a replacement
You know,
knee. And I
for
was
some
like,
people, it's genetic,
okay,
right? There is a genetic component to having bad joints.
okay,
And then there might be a genetic component, not a nurture, rather than nature, nurture component to push, keep going, don't stop, keep doing what you used to. It's, you know, I think it's going to be different for everybody. So what we have to do is find within ourselves, if we say, I got to keep doing this, and then say, oh, wait, do I? And how much am I pushing? And is that leading to injury?
I see.
Yeah, but it, you know, we just don't bounce back as much. And when our soft tissue is that kind of hardened, you know, the non-mobile,
Yes.
it's more likely to tear, right? Just like anything. If something is not fluid and flexible and you pull on it, it's going to rip. So it is possible that as people's chemistry in their body starts to change and they're doing the same thing, things are going to tear. I mean, I'm surprised, you know, I'm gonna be 59 tomorrow. I'm surprised at how much my body has aged in the last 2 or 3 years. Really surprised.
So it's noticeable to you.
It's very
Even
noticeable.
though you've been practicing.
Yeah, yeah,
and
even
you've been
though I can,
flexible for years and years.
right, it's very, very noticeable to me how much the aging process has accelerated in the last few years. And I'd say I'm probably in better shape, like just by doing more things now than I was maybe 10 years ago. But maybe not, my dog has really knocked me for a loop. Like I used to be in much better shape, but that dog takes up so much time. But I see that my strength is not as much and my flexibility is not as much. So that's what I was saying, our mindset doesn't necessarily keep up with our body.
Your dog is also probably causing you to move in ways that your body's not really supposed
Yeah,
to.
like falling on the ground like that.
Well, yeah, that too. But I my husband took a picture of me or my son of me walking the dog, and my legs were literally crossed in front of each other, and my upper body was going like this with the leash. And like I don't notice it when it's happening.
Yeah.
But if you walk that way regularly, that's not great for
That's
your
not
body.
great for your body. And I think I told one group that there was this woman in town who had 3 very large dogs and she can only walk 2 at a time. She can walk the 2 collies, but not the other one that wasn't a collie. And she had such a terrible scoliosis. I mean, she had a really severe scoliosis and she said it was from walking the dogs.
Wow.
Yeah,
She didn't switch hands like this.
I don't know. I mean, she had 3 dogs, so you think it would even out eventually, but I don't know if she held 2 of the dogs in one hand or not. She might have, you know, the 2 collies that walked okay together, but they were big dogs. They weren't pullers either. You know, you see some dogs that the person's like, oh, they were not pullers, but she really, and that was, I mean, I never talked to her, but my husband did, and he said that she told him that. So it's not like somebody said, hey, what's with the scoliosis? Do you think that's from walking the dogs? Maybe somebody did say that, I don't know. Yeah, but because I'm walking my dog, I'm not bike riding, I'm not going to the gym, you know, that kind of stuff. So our mindset is not keeping up with our body. And as a result, we are going to injure ourselves faster. And we also don't know, we're not really that cognizant because nobody talks about it. People just complain about what happens to their body, right? Oh, and then the organ
Right,
recital.
the dinner conversation.
It becomes a
at this
dinner
age.
conversation, but nobody talks about it. Like, I don't remember any elder woman talking to me about what was gonna happen to my body in menopause.
Absolutely not.
And
It's
nobody
a big
says, you know
secret.
what, when you turn 60, watch out, this is gonna have, your bones are not gonna be as strong, your mobility is not, your endurance is not gonna be as strong. We don't talk about that. We say, keep moving,
Right.
right? But we don't say how to move necessarily. So it's like, because aging is so taboo in this culture, we don't talk about it, and so we don't know how to moderate ourselves. One day we wake up and we're like, oh my God, what happened to me? Right? What happened? You look in the mirror, you're like, who's that?
Right.
I feel like the women in my family who are older than me also were just like, that's just what happens. Like, why
Right,
would you
you're right.
try to see a doctor about that or prevent that? Like,
That's right.
This is normal.
This is normal. Your body's just gonna fall apart. It's normal. You're
Right.
That's the other thing.
Really,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Well, guys,
frustrating, but
guys too, though. Yeah.
I had a client once who had a mastectomy, one side mastectomy, and after the surgery and reconstruction, after the surgery, she couldn't put her jacket on. She couldn't take there's internal rotation, and she couldn't put her jacket on because she couldn't make that movement. So she went to the doctor and she said to the doctor, I can't do that anymore. And you know what he said to her? Like, this is also what you're saying, like,
Oh, no.
he said, get somebody to help you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
terrible.
And she said, I don't want to get somebody to help me. So she came to me and we did a lot of just exactly what we were doing, except I was manipulating her arm. So she had the environment of being helped and being relaxed and being soft. And she has her range of motion back now.
Yay.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, she's a strong, fierce practitioner. And so when that doctor said that to her, she was like, no way.
Mm.
I can't, I just, it's common like, you lived through the cancer, just go away and leave me alone. And she's like, no, I want my range of motion back.
I think you need both. I've learned that I have to ask for help. Certain things that I just shouldn't do anymore. And it's okay to bring in these teenagers. and
Oh,
stuff, you
absolutely.
know.
Yeah,
So, and it's funny because people look at you, you look fine, oh, you're strong, you're this, and I'm thinking, but I've learned. if you
Yeah.
do that, it's gonna, sooner or later, it's gonna happen. So it's a funny little road to cross.
well, something that you were able to do before the surgery, and then you have surgery and you can't do it anymore.
Right.
And it wasn't part of the surgery. It wasn't like we're taking out your internal rotators, you know? I mean, you are cutting into it, but
Yeah.
it was just right after surgery, it never came back. And I don't think she did PT. I don't remember if she did PT or not. But yeah, there are definitely some things we should ask for help with. Putting in our jacket or taking your bra off shouldn't be one of those.
Now, just sitting here now, after we did that, it's right deep in here, it's throbbing.
It's throbbing. Yeah, so you two
Muscle.
should go out for coffee afterwards. So really we did a little too much, and I
But
want
I
you to,
didn't feel it doing it,
you have to,
except that I couldn't go back very far.
except you couldn't go back very
But it
far, right?
didn't hurt.
So there's a lot of things that go through our head when we're not getting the goal that we want. Right? And I'm not trying to blame the victim at all. I'm saying we have to start thinking differently. We have to prop up so we don't feel it at all. So I said, if you do it 5 times, and you said didn't feel it before, but now you know.
Now it's just started, yeah.
Now, also, we don't know if that throbbing is something waking up or is it something painful? Does it feel painful?
It was, just stopped, it was, all of a sudden it was like ring. Just on the edge of feeling painful, but
Mhm.
more like a bruisey kind of
Bruising,
feel.
yeah.
And then now it's just gone,
Okay.
settled down again.
And what's yours like?
Just unhappy,
Unhappy still?
just like a mild ache, kind of. From my shoulder to my elbow.
Okay. So it hasn't changed since we set up?
No.
Well, I broke 2 people, but 4 people are still okay.
Great odds.
Not bad. So then this is sometimes also we have to figure this out, like that was too much, or it wasn't propped up high enough.
That makes sense now.
And then maybe too fast also, so we have to go. a little
I mean,
bit
I
slower.
also did a full yoga class before this, so it could also be the accumulation of like movement after movement, after movement, and then that last one is the one that's like, "Ugh."
And when we actually use the shoulders quite a lot in class today.
We did. There was something, that rotated whatever, the standing half moon.
Mhm.
When I pulled my arm up for that, my arm was like,
Ah.
"No."
Okay,
So I took it right back down.
good for you.
Yeah.
All right, so you're gonna go home and do the internal and external rotation.
Mhm.
And if you have another one of the movements, maybe it's this one that's a little sticky, prop yourself up and do it. If you want to do it sitting up, you can, just, I think laying down sets a better environment, but you can experiment with that. And then if you haven't determined like one move that is like kind of catches in some way, look for it, keep looking for it. You may just not have done it yet. So if you have to go off plane, we showed the different planes of movement. If you have to go like from here to here, could be what your movement is. Maybe it's not from here to here. You know what I'm saying? We have all of this space in between. And for me, yeah, it feels different. I can feel it. Actually, the movement starts to get a lot weaker as I move it out. And then when I get here, it's much stronger. So there's a difference between when the anterior deltoid is working and then the middle deltoid kicks in. For me, there's like this in-between place that I guess neither of them know what. Are you taking this or are you taking this? Who's doing this? I don't want to do this.
Touching the ball.
Who's catching the ball? I got it, don't got it. Yeah. So start to experiment also with different angles, because the different angles are important. You don't think about the angles when you're going to reach something because you're just reaching for it. But you can reach here for something and it hurts. You can reach here for something and it doesn't hurt. So try to find your angles. Your body is already positioning itself so it won't hurt if you've already had pain there. If you've done this before and it hurts, your body's going to be here. So you can do it like this. Do you know what I'm saying? Your body's compensating for that. That's not okay, because then you lose that range of motion. That's what we don't want to happen.
We don't want to compensate.
you don't want to compensate. You watch, start to pay attention, like, oh, I did compensate when you're doing that. Like, I know when I put this arm up in triangle, it hurts a little bit. If I'm in triangle and I take that arm up, it's like, oh, there's a little sticky thing. So I know I'm a little strange about it, but I'll do it over and over and over again until it stops hurting. But I think also I can tell if it's too much or not. And that is a sensitivity that we all want to have. And I don't know how to teach it other than to say, do a little bit at a time and see how it
Right,
goes.
it's like an awareness process.
Yeah.
It's like, and also like putting salt in food, right? Do you put a little bit in? Do you put none in? Do you put a little in, or do you put too much in? So there's a sensitivity like that of how much movement is going to be too salty. I just made myself hungry. Okay. All right. I'll see you guys next week.
Okay, good.
All right, bye. Have a good week, everybody.
Bye.